1059, your only local celebration of Canadian music. Listen live on air at 105.9 FM or online at 1059theregion.com.
We are back with our first artist spotlight of 2024. Super exciting. I'm joined in studio now by Joshua Sheppard. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, we need to set the scene for everyone because you've got a really cool background. You've got a little bit of an Indigenous background. You're 19 years old. So it's just making us all feel old over here. But tell us about your music career so far and why you wanted to get into music.
Yeah, so my music career is kind of it's been a little bit of a brief stint so far. I've been at it for about a year, kind of seriously. Music has been something that I've always been into, like across my whole life. I've been playing instruments, piano, guitar, singing from a young age. Just a few years ago, I started to unify that all together, started writing my own tunes. In the last year, I've put out 5 songs now total, recorded, whatever, put out there. So yeah, just kind of getting started on this journey, learning a lot about the industry as I go, and it has its ups and downs, but luckily I'm here today to talk about it.
And that's what I was about to say. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. Not to say that this isn't a great career and something to get into if you have the talent to back it up, but I'm sure there are some days that are difficult.
Absolutely. Like I find, well, when you're doing the music stuff, you're working for yourself. It's like you're your own boss and stuff. And with that, it seems like a dream job on paper. And not to say that it's not, if I can do this for a living, then wow, I am truly blessed. But in the meantime, getting there, you've got a lot of stuff to do. You got to get out of bed in the morning. You got to motivate yourself. You say, oh, I'm going to put this out today, do that. And I find what I've found so far with music, the number one thing, aside from actually singing the songs themselves and writing them, is the marketing. It's crazy. You got to go fall out on that.
Yeah, and that I think is what's different now in this day and age. Everything is social media based, basically.
Absolutely. Social medias. I was never really a social media guy much before. I ran a YouTube channel when I was a kid, just putting up nonsense stuff on that essentially. But now getting into it seriously, it's like, man, if I don't I'm not posting regularly, it's like, oh, what am I doing? And you go on there, it's like everyone's posting, and then when I see all these other artists that I follow, it's like, oh, I just feel bad now I haven't posted something today. It's like
I just find that interesting that, again, I'm going to mention you're 19 years old and you weren't that into social media. I feel like that is very hard to come by with people your age.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've just never I always steer away from the kind of trendy things. That's not really my thing. I know a lot of things with social media these days, specifically TikTok, Instagram, whether you're using Reels or whatnot, you blow up with all these audios and these filters or templates and stuff, these little skits people are doing. I try to steer away from that a little bit to have some more originality in my opinion, but of course there's struggles with that because people want to see this, that, or that, stuff they're familiar with. So putting out original content can be difficult sometimes, and especially as an artist, I find, because one of the easiest ways to get your stuff seen is by using audios and stuff that are blowing up. But as an artist, of course, you want to promote your music, but you got to do it using someone else's sounds and stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you make very, very good points. And okay, tell us a little bit about your music. We're going to play your song, Could We Be, coming up. Tell us about the song and what the style is and what the inspiration was behind it.
So Could We Be is my latest release, and it's kind of designed to sound a little bit like a little bit of an early 2000s kind of pop tune that you'd hear on the radio.
Were you even born in the early 2000s?
I was born in 2004. I'm very nostalgic for that time period, despite being a little baby around that time. But life seems better than back then. Nostalgia goggles, looking at things. But anyways, yeah, it's just kind of got that kind of presence about it, that kind of style. It's actually a little bit of a different style tune than what I'm used to writing. It's kind of a love song, kind of not. It's about someone, seeing someone that you have feelings for, you think you have something going on there, but it's that person's not reciprocating it. That person's, not giving you that, they're not on the same vibe, they're not on the same pace as you. And, there's some lines in the song about that. It's could we be in another world? And we'll dive into that shortly, I'm sure, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay. All right. So this is your first time on live radio, let me say. Okay. I'm going to say, why don't you introduce your song for us? Go ahead.
All right. So Could We Be? This is a pretty cool tune, I might say. coming at you with a cool style, upbeat tune for great all seasons of the year, surely. And yeah, it's not quite your average Valentine's Day song that you're gonna be cuddling over, but you know, if you're having a bad Valentine's Day, maybe, and yeah, it's just about, you know, when you got that someone in your life who you think, you know, you're getting there with, you've got kind of a special place for, but things are going here wrong or there. It's like, man, you don't know what this person's doing. It's like, well, I don't know, you're sleeping with someone else, but I'm the one you're sleeping on.
Ooh.
Direct line.
We are back live in studio with Joshua Sheppard, who I sent this to you off the air. You are very well spoken for a 19-year-old.
Oh, thank you very much. I try to be, you know. Everything's going through my mind.
We appreciate you as a millennial. I appreciate that.
Oh, props.
We were oh, there it is. We were talking about your music career and your come up and your journey in the business so far before the break, or about half an hour ago. And I want to know about your background as well, because you've actually lived at a number of different places in and around this vicinity. You were talking about living in Brampton, Mississauga, and now you're in Orillia.
Yeah.
And you do have an Indigenous background as well. So how has all of that played into your music?
I do, yeah. So I guess going way back, family stuff. So my family is originally from out eastern Newfoundland, and that's where the Indigenous ties come from out there. And yeah, well, I was born here in Ontario. I still very much maintain a connection out there. You know, I've always gone back like every summer, you know, to maintain those ties with the roots. But yeah, no, I've been everywhere, man. Living around this place. I've been in Brampton, Georgetown, Mississauga. Lived, I guess, technically in Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. Now up in the Orillia area, and probably gonna move again soon.
And do you feel like living in those places have contributed to your musical style, maybe your writing style, things like that?
For sure. I mean, you are like what your environment breeds, right? So there's, of course, different scenery, all these different places, these different people you get to talk to, things you get to experience. It's all different things that kind of connect and inspire different things. So, of course, you know, if you're at location A, you might have a totally different thing from location B, but I've been around so much, I've gotten a little bit of it all, so all that comes back in the music.
That's lovely. I love to hear that. And you do have a very strong support system. Your dad came here with you today, but he's not anywhere to be found right now because you banished him to the car.
He's banished to the shadow realm. Yeah. No, yeah, I do. I have a good support base. Luckily, I do have my dad. He helps me with a lot of stuff doing this. Because of him, like, I would say largely this is possible for me because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't get that backing out there and they're forced to struggle, go through everything on their own. And, you know, while this has been a lonely journey for me at some aspects, at least I do have, you know, a couple good people in my corner, a few friends, a little bit of family, you know. That's all you need at the end of the day. I think the larger your circle gets, sometimes there's more things, you know, you're going to have to deal with people you don't know so well, but you keep things tight around people you know, and you got a strong backing. I think that's the number one thing to take you places.
100%. And, you know, I've been saying this for quite some time. I feel like the older I get, the smaller my circle gets. But I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think you know that those people support you. You know that they'll be behind you. And when you choose a career like this, sometimes it's got some uncertainty. You know that those people will have your back.
Exactly. And when you do something like this, I think it immediately drives, like, it's a bit of a brash way of saying this, but it'll immediately drive some like snakes out of the grass. Like, you know, if you want to thin out your circle and know who's really got you, try doing something. Try opening a small business yourself. Try being a musician. Try going out there and doing something yourself, and, you know, see how many people are there. And the people who still got your back, keep them close.
That is some wise advice. I'm here for the advice. Now let's get back to the music, Joshua. We heard one of your newer releases earlier. Now we're going to talk about this song, Rolling Thunder. Tell us about it.
Rolling Thunder. This is, you know, a lot of my songs, I have so many unreleased music that I've written. I have quite the catalog, but it's all time and money getting stuff out there. But Rolling Thunder, I think, is one of my more like touching and personal tunes. It's about sort of a journey along and then looking back at it. It's about memories and looking back, you know, almost through nostalgia goggles and stuff like that. But it's doing so in a way that, you know, I think these days a lot of people can get caught up, like, you know, what's happened in the past and whatnot. And they almost live their life too much in the past without looking forward and, you know, appreciating today, appreciating what could be tomorrow. But that's what Rolling Thunder is about. It's, looking back at the past, remembering the good times, and it's not getting too caught up in that where you're spending your life, looking back and, wishing for those times, but using those experiences to drive you forward and relive certain things in the future.
Love that. There's such wise words from such a young artist. Joshua, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best. You are going to be performing in our lobby right here outside our studio, so you can stream that live on our Instagram at the 905 Region, as well as our TikTok at 1059 The Region. So, okay, one last time, go ahead and introduce your song for us.
So this is Rolling Thunder. It is, a tune that'll take you back through, well, personally it's written for my life, but it'll take you back through your life. It'll give you a chance to reflect on those golden memories and think about, how can I do that again? And put you on a path set forward to the future to relive those good times with throughout the tune and the sort of metaphor of a thunderstorm.
Love that. Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.
It's just a little bit lonely. Don't really got no one to hold me. Don't really have one and only. At least that's what you told me. So how do I ask her? It should end in disaster. Am I just out of touch? Looking for a touch, or would this be a crutch? Get in the way too much. So could we be in another words? Could we give this thing a whirl? See, I don't really know what she's got going on. I bet she's sleeping with somebody else, but I know what she's sleeping on. Well, she says she like I'm holy. I'm afraid I'm just too holy. I ain't been feeling all that holy. I wanna love her solely, but for me I think that there won't be. So won't be, won't we? Tell me if it could be. Maybe it's a question of if it could be, surely. So maybe it's a question of if it could be, surely. So could we be in another world? Could we give this thing a whirl? See, I don't really know what she's got going on. I bet she's sleeping with somebody else, but I know what she's sleeping on. So could we be in another world? Could we give this thing a whirl? See, I don't really know what she's got going on. I bet she's sleeping with somebody else, but I know what she's sleeping on. You see, I don't really know what she's got going on. I bet she's sleeping with somebody else, but I know what she's sleeping